Today, I'm going to talk about resistance and how fear is a part of this process. So, these last couple of weeks have been incredibly eye opening and powerful and um, scary because I am in the process right now of stepping out in my life. And so, from personal experience, we're going to talk about resistance today. And that is a bugger because it will stop us cold. And there's an underlying thing about resistance that I'm going to share with you next. Hey, I'm Rena, and I am working through a lot of things lately. And today is something of an experiment because resistance has been coming up for me my entire life. And I couldn't, it just shows up. It's like a sneaky little thing. And I couldn't figure out why, as much as I wanted to do these things in my life, these big ideas and these big things, and, kind of stepping into what I'm doing now, there's always been this like thing that kind of goes, no, 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 no. And this has really been coming at me in the past week or so. And I wanted to share what that is and what I've discovered about it. Resistance is something that you get to acknowledge, you get to accept, and you get to realize that it's there for a reason. And it's not something that we can get rid of because it's there intentionally. And there's an underlying factor with that. And what that is uh, underneath the surface is fear. And there's a lot of fear. I feel like we all have this fear from either, from the traumas in childhood or traumas in adulthood or things that go on in the world or whatever fear. And it just keeps building and building and building and building. And it's all kinds of fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown, fear of you name it, fear. And the biggest one for me, which is what's happening, is the fear of going to a new level. I don't know what that looks like. There is an unknown there. And I just want to, my intention is to be out there to help people walk through this fear. So I know that I need to do it myself. And I still have the resistance to it because it's not something that I have been mentored in or shown the way or anything. I've always done things like throughout my life, learning on my own and with little to no guidance. And so there's a lot of fear wrapped up in there, and it's all like coming up right now. And it's a fear of this going to the new level and falling flat on my face. I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to get out there. I know that I can help people walk through these things that I've been through. I know that I can guide. I know that I can be present for people. I know I can hold space for people. I know I can help other people go moving to the next level. But there's the thing that's stopping me in the resistance. And we come to this wall every single time that we're about to do something bigger. And I'll explain that in a moment. Now, what I've learned is, as with all emotions, when you acknowledge and accept that the emotion is there, you learn to talk with it, you learn to connect with it, you learn to ask why it's there. What is it trying to show me? And in this case, this fear was actually my inner teenager who was in some ways was expected to be perfect, or at least she thought that. It could have been on the outside of her, but that was her thing, because if she was not perfect for mommy and she was not perfect for daddy, then she would not be loved. And it was a very powerful thing for her. And she always was scared because she had to live up to this perfection, which also showed up in the last couple of weeks for me. So I'm working through that as well. But these are the things that I understand about it, even though I can feel it in my body. And it's a whole nother level to work through it within the body than it is to understand what it is. Because we can read, we can find out, we can analyze, we can do all kinds of things. But until we actually bring it inside, bring it to our physiology, bring it into our heart, bring it into our understanding within the feelings of the body, and take action on that, we aren't going to really understand how to step out of that. So when you have that fear and you connect with it and talk to it and ask it, and this fear for me is always about safety. It's always about keeping me safe. It's always about protecting me from the unknown. It's about making sure that everything is okay. And that when I can recognize this, then I can learn how to trust myself. And if you remember on the other video that I did, I talked about the 3 different belief systems that we have about ourselves from trauma. And it's all in the subconscious. I was talking about abandonment, and I was talking about not feeling good enough, and I was talking about trust. So this comes in, everything all kind of fits in together. It's just how it shows up and when it shows up, and when you're really ready for it to show up, it will come. Another video, I did a short where I was holding a ball, a rubber ball in the ocean, and every time I held it under, it popped up. Like I used to do that when I was a kid, but I wanted to prove a point that when we try to hold that rubber ball and it's going to pop up. You can't keep these emotions suppressed. We can't keep them down. It doesn't work that way. They're going to come up when it's time for us to heal, when it's time for us to recognize that it's time to step out, and that's what's happening with me right now. And I have this thing where it'll show up and I think that something is going to go crazy and I don't like it and whatever. And then I resist. Like, for example, one of the biggest resistances that I have has to do with, I have this fear of sharing things with other people, not because of what I'm talking about necessarily, but because of the fact that I won't be accepted, or I won't be understood, or I talk in this like level of esoteric that some people don't understand. It doesn't matter. Some people will understand me and some won't. And that's where I'm getting to the point where I can feel comfortable with that. However, because throughout my life, I wasn't really necessarily around a lot of people who understood the things that I talk about. And I'm slowly but surely seeing that it's making it easier for me to know that there are people out there. So I do know that there are people out there who will understand what this is. And all of these healings are all in the spiritual awakening thing that's happening, and my business and my life and my relationships and my health, just like with you, are all the same. It's like where you are in one place, you are somewhere in every part of your life, because it's you. You can't move away from somewhere and expect things to change. They may be great in the at first, and it's wonderful, and then all of a sudden you're still there, and then things start to suck again. And that's the experience that a lot of us run into, and I have too. And anyway, so the resistance for me is, even though I want to share my information, I have been afraid of sharing my gifts of high sensitivity, my gifts of being an empath, my gifts of being able to channel and through words and understand what people are going through and feel what people are going through and know what people are going through just by this feeling. And I don't know initially exactly what it is, but I feel something is off. And so the work I do is to create that safe space where someone can talk about it. And then when they talk, I can hear words, and the words guide me to help guide them. So it makes this, and then there's these aha moments, and there's these tweaks, and there are these like, oh my gosh, thank you. I mean, it's like the most incredible thing I've ever experienced. And that's what I want to put out there. And I'm afraid because these gifts may not be accepted by, like I said, accepted by anybody or certain people or whatever. And I'm not out there. I'm not here for everyone. I'm here for people who resonate with me. So my lesson in this, in facing this fear, is about embracing my gifts, because the more I resist, the more it creeps into the energy of the work I do. And I notice that when I'm in a good space, I get lots of views and I get lots of comments and I get lots of stuff like that. When I'm not in such a good space, the universe responds again, and I get crickets, or I get 2 or 3 views, or I get, just a few and no comments. And so I know that the energy of this is important. And so by doing this video is my uh, opportunity to embrace sharing these gifts. And now, what stops me really because of this is, like, I have the fear, and then what I do is I get frustrated with technology because technology doesn't work, or it causes it to last longer and I don't have time and I run out of time. And that's another one of my things that I'm working with because of generational trauma with time. And this thing about time is, like, my family was involved in the Holocaust, and I recognized the other day that the belief I have is I'm running out of time, and that scared the crap out of me because I thought about what they were going through, and then it connected with me, and I had this, like, opening, and I'm tearing up right now because it was like I felt their pain. And when I felt their pain, I knew that it was something that I needed to work through because I'm here on this planet all right, I need to recover here for a minute. I'm here on this planet to break this pattern of generational trauma, of fear, of all this stuff. I know that's why I'm here. And I also know that as a spirit in a human body, and the human body is the one that gets to walk on this planet, that's where the fear comes up, not the spirit. It's the human. And every time I break through these resistances that are going to keep coming up, I grow a little, and I expand a little, and I understand a lot more. And it's like these awarenesses are incredible. But okay, I digress. So the point is that, like, every time I got this fear about stepping out, it was almost like my energy was blocking the technology to work, and it would actually either stop, my hotspot would stop working or whatever, or it would drop me, or something was going on. And now that I understand what that is, it's the energy that creates that. It's that energy underneath everything that's actually creating it. It's subconscious. And when I have this expansiveness, it doesn't do that. It works. And it's something that blows me away, because it is something that we all get to learn about ourselves as these spirits having a human experience and having a spiritual awakening. So it's important to me to get that across. So I hope that makes sense. As far as resistance goes, there's no way around it. You're always, no matter what, when you come up to something, you're going to go through resistance to get you past that into the next level. So it's part of the process. It's like this threshold that, well, as you're waiting to take the next step forward into the spiritual awakening, it'll show up, and it's intentional for you to move into another level of being the truth of who you are, of being what you are meant to be on this planet. And it doesn't matter what you do, it matters who you be. And you'll find a lot of that stuff online, and you may have already, but it's who you are in the present moment. And who you are in the present moment shows up in what you do. So finding the things that are your gifts and moving into doing that, and stepping through this brick wall and moving on to the other side, and continuing on and letting go. I mean, the biggest thing that I've noticed is that, again, with the trauma, and I've talked about this before, it locks things into your nervous system, it locks things into the physiology, and it becomes subconscious, it becomes a habit, and we just automatically do things that we don't even know we're doing anymore. It's just like driving, I mean, we've driven, for those of us who've been driving for those of us who have been driving for a long time, we know it's a natural thing. We know what to do. If we drive a stick, it's with the feet, and so everything we do in life is a habit, and we've acquired these habits based off of the things that we learned as children and the experiences we had and how we were able or not to walk through that. So stepping back into why I'm here doing these videos, it is all part of this process. And the reason that this resistance shows up is for you, for me, to make a choice. We always have choices. And the choice is to stay at this threshold and never follow your path or your dreams, or to step up. And for me, I know that it's time for me to step up no matter how scared I am. I really, honestly, I want to throw up right now. So I don't know how to explain that any differently. It's not the easiest thing, and my soul is guiding me to it. So follow what your soul is asking you to do. Listen to your body. Don't get caught up in all this chaos and everything going on in the world. Stay here with you. Learn who you are. Learn how to connect with yourself and find that truth, and move into this other level, this higher vibration, this higher level of being. And things will shift. And this attraction I was talking about earlier with the energy, when our energy is low, it's going to attract still, but we're going to attract things we don't want. So when we heal the nervous system, when we heal the trauma, it raises the vibration and attracts things that are at a higher vibration for us, which are, if you listen to Abraham Hicks, the high flying disc is there, here, and as we raise our vibration, we meet here. So that's what this feels like to me is about, because that's what it feels like is happening. And so again, either don't follow your path, you have choice, don't follow your path, or step up. Which one are you going to choose? I get to choose stepping up, because I know what that's going to do. So I hope that this information gave you some kind of clarity because I'm still kind of floating my way through it as I do it. And this way it can actually help connect you to your soul and yourself and your truth. That's about it for today. Peace.